I want to start with a scenario we've all been in. You're telling a story, right? Maybe about something weird that happened at the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
And the person you're talking to is, they're nodding, smiling, laughing at all the right spots. You walk away thinking, man, we are on the same wavelength. They totally get me.
Right.
We operate under this huge assumption that conversation is a two-way street.
Yeah.
That I'm carefully packaging my thoughts for you, and you're carefully
And
unwrapping them.
It's the audience design ideal.
Mhm.
It's a very comforting idea that we're constantly tailoring our reality to fit the person in front of us. It
Yeah.
implies this high level of empathy and cognitive work.
Exactly. But today's deep dive is going to basically take a sledgehammer to that idea.
It really is.
We're looking at a chapter called Perspective Taking and the Coordination of Meaning in Language Use by Dale Barr and Boaz Kezar. And honestly, it suggests that this wavelength we think we're on is, well, largely an illusion.
It does.
The research argues we aren't these benevolent audience designers. We're actually cognitively lazy egocentrists.
It's a harsh diagnosis, I'll admit it. But the evidence they present is pretty compelling. The central question the researchers are asking is about the machinery under the hood of conversation.
Right.
When I speak to you, am I actually simulating your mind to make sure you understand? Or am I just, broadcasting my own thoughts and hoping you figure it out?
And what I love about this source material is they don't just philosophize. They have these incredibly clever, sometimes slightly devious experiments to prove it.
They really do.
But before we get to the ice picks and the candles, which we will, we need to define the battlefield. The core concept here is common ground.
Right. Common ground is the set of mutual knowledge, beliefs, and assumptions we share. It's the context. The text uses a secret society analogy, which is just a perfect way to visualize it.
Okay, let's break that down. Say I'm sitting on a plane, I turn to the stranger next to me, never met them, and I say, the president is resigning.
Okay. So unless I have some other reason to think otherwise, I assume you mean the president of the country.
Yeah.
That's our standard generic common ground.
But what if we both flash a secret handshake from the International Order of Water Buffaloes?
Ah,
We realize we're in the same club. Then I lean over and say, the president is resigning.
totally different meaning. Now, because of that specific common ground, I know you mean the grand poobah of the water buffaloes.
Right. The meaning of the word changes based on what we share.
Precisely. Now, the audience design hypothesis, the optimistic view, claims that we are constantly tracking this. It says, I wouldn't use the club president, meaning unless I knew you knew the handshake. It assumes I'm filtering everything through a mental model of your mind.
Which sounds exhausting, honestly.
It is.
If I had to run a simulation of your brain every time I open my mouth, I'd never get a sentence out.
That's exactly the friction point. The research suggests that while we might want to be audience designers, our brains, they often opt for the path of least resistance. We have to look at the speaker's brain first.
Okay.
The text distinguishes between two types of changes we make when we talk. There's generic adaptation and particular adaptation.
I found this distinction really helpful. Generic adaptation is basically just, not being impossible to understand, right?
Correct. It's speaking clearly, not mumbling, using standard grammar. It helps anyone understand you better. But particular adaptation is changing your speech for one specific person based on what you know about them.
And the example they gave was the choice between the word lie and the word prevaricate.
Right. Prevaricate is a $10 word. It means to lie or mislead. Now, imagine I'm talking to you. If I choose to say lie instead of prevaricate, why am I doing it?
Okay.
If I'm doing it because I know you specifically won't understand prevaricate, that is audience design. That's me looking out for you.
Maybe you're just saying lie because prevaricate is a hard word to remember.
Exactly. That's the speaker-centered explanation. Lie is just more accessible in my memory. It's easier for me to retrieve.
Yeah.
So I'm not simplifying it for your benefit. I'm simplifying it for mine.
But does it matter? I mean, if the result is the same, you used a simple word and I understood it, does the intention actually matter?
Cognitively, it matters a lot. Because if you're only doing it when it's easy for you, what happens when being clear is hard? Or when being clear requires you to say something that isn't the first thing that pops into your head?
Okay.
And that's where the ice pick study comes in. This was a study by Brown and Dell.
This one was tricky, so let's walk through it carefully.
Okay, so participants were shown pictures and asked to retell stories based on them. Some stories involved a typical instrument, like a man stabbing someone with a knife.
Standard stuff.
And some involved an atypical instrument stabbing someone with an ice pick.
Okay, more unusual.
And the finding was that People were way more likely to explicitly mention the ice pick than the knife. They'd say, he stabbed him with an ice pick, whereas with the knife, they might just say, he stabbed him.
Which at first that looks like helpful communication. If I say stab, you assume a knife. If it's an ice pick, that's unusual, so I need to tell you.
Exactly, to prevent you from getting the wrong image.
Yeah.
But here's the twist the researchers added. They set it up so the listener already knew about the ice pick.
Ah.
They were looking right at a picture of it. They had the common ground.
So if I were a true audience designer, I would realize, oh, he sees the ice pick too. I don't need to waste my breath emphasizing it. He knows.
But speakers mentioned the ice pick anyway.
They still did it.
They did. They mentioned it just as often whether the listener knew about it or not.
So they weren't saying ice pick for the listener's benefit at all.
No, they were saying it because ice pick is weird. It's surprising. It was vivid in the speaker's mind, so it just popped out. It mimics helpfulness, but it's actually just the speaker processing their own surprise.
So we're just blurting out whatever's most interesting to us, regardless of whether the other person needs to hear it.
Pretty much.
But surely we adjust if we have time to think. If I'm not rushing, don't I have the bandwidth to consider your perspective?
You've hit on the critical variable, time. Horton and Kezar tested this with the circle study.
This is the one where the view is blocked, right?
Yes. So imagine we're sitting across from each other looking at a computer screen. I, the speaker, see two circles, a small one and a large one. But, and this is crucial, there's a digital barrier that blocks your view of the large one.
Okay, so I can only see the small one.
From your perspective, there is only one circle on the screen.
Right.
Now, I need you to click on that small circle. If I'm considering your perspective, what should I say?
You should just say click the circle.
Why?
Because for me, there is no large one to compare it to. If you say small, it implies a contrast that I can't see. It's confusing.
Exactly. You'd be thinking small. Is there another one I'm missing? Now, when speakers had plenty more time, they figured this out. They filtered their speech and just said, the circle.
Okay, good for them.
But when the researchers put them under time pressure,
Let me guess. They revert to the small circle.
immediately, they describe it from their view, not yours. This suggests that audience design is what's called the controlled process. It's an optional add-on that requires cognitive battery power.
So if you're stressed or rushed or distracted,
You stop simulating the other person's mind, and you just default to your own reality.
which explains why arguments with a spouse or a boss spiral so quickly when we're stressed or tired. We literally lose the cognitive capacity to see their point of view.
We do.
We aren't being stubborn necessarily. We're just running on low power mode.
And it's not just about descriptions of objects. It happens with the very structure of our sentences. This is the garden path phenomenon.
I love this term, leading someone down the garden path. Sounds pleasant, but it's actually about confusion.
It is. We do it all the time with syntactic ambiguity.
Mhm.
Take this sentence. The coach knew you ate.
The coach knew you ate. Okay.
Did you stumble a little bit when you first heard it?
A little, yeah. My brain heard the coach knew you. And I thought, okay, coach knows me. Then the word ate showed up, and I had to like crash reverse and realize, oh, the coach knew that I ate.
That's the stumble. You went down the garden path of the wrong meaning and had to backtrack. Now, a considerate speaker could prevent that. They could just say, the coach knew that you ate. The word that acts as a bridge. It signals a new clause is coming.
So do we use that to help people? Do we subconsciously add it in when we know a sentence is tricky?
Rarely. The research shows speakers only throw in the word that if they, the speaker, are stalling. If I'm struggling to find the next word, I say that to buy time. The coach knew that. You ate.
So my helpful clarity is actually just your brain buffering.
Pretty much. If the speaker is flowing smoothly and knows what they want to say, they usually skip that, leaving the listener to trip over the ambiguity. We prioritize our own flow over your comprehension.
Wow. Okay, this paints a pretty grim picture of the speaker. We're lazy, we're egocentric, we only help if it's convenient for us. But what about the listener? If I'm listening to you, surely I'm doing the work. I'm trying to filter out my own noise and focus on what you know, right?
You would hope so. But this brings us to the most famous and frankly most damning experiment in this entire field, the small candle study.
Okay, I want to really take a moment here. Make sure you can visualize this because this is the core of the argument. This is where it all comes together.
Okay, let's build the mental model. Imagine a shelving unit, a grid of cubby holes, like a tic-tac-toe board, sitting on a table between us.
Got it. A grid standing between us.
Some of the cubbies are open on both sides so we can both see what's inside them. These represent common ground.
Okay. Shared view.
But some cubbies have a backing on my side, so you can see what's in them, but I can't. These are privilege ground, your private view.
Okay, so if I'm the listener, I see everything in the open boxes, plus my secret private boxes. And I know you can't see into my private boxes.
Exactly. Now, in the shared open boxes, the ones we both see, there is a medium candle and a small candle.
Okay. Medium and small, both visible to both of us.
But in one of your private cubbies, the one only you can see, there's a tiny candle. A candle smaller than the other two.
Right, okay, so looking at the whole grid, I see 3 candles. Medium, small, and my secret tiny one. You only see medium and small.
Correct. Now, I, the speaker, say to you, pick up the small candle.
Okay, pick up the small candle. Well, since you can't see my secret tiny candle, you must mean the smaller of the 2 shared ones. You must mean the candle that looks small to you.
Logically, yes. That is the only interpretation that makes sense. But eye-tracking cameras reveal what your brain actually does.
And what's that?
When I say small, your eyes dart to your secret tiny candle. And often, your hand even starts to reach for it before you correct yourself.
Even though I know you can't see it.
Even though you know.
Yeah.
Your brain hears the word small, it scans everything in your visual field, finds the absolute smallest item, the tiny candle, and lights it up. You have to actively fight that initial impulse to realize, wait, he doesn't know about that one.
That is wild. It means I can't turn off my own reality. My own knowledge is interfering with my ability to understand you.
You can't turn it off. They even escalated this. They put the private object in a brown paper bag. So you couldn't even see the tiny candle. You just knew it was inside the bag.
Did that fix it?
Nope. Listeners still got confused. Just the memory of the object interfered with their understanding. It suggests that theory of mind, the ability to know that you know different things than I do, is not baked into our language processing hardware.
It's an afterthought.
It's a correction mechanism, not a filter.
That explains so much about misunderstandings. It's not that we don't care, it's that we are physically fighting our own brains to consider the other person.
It creates a curse of knowledge. Once you know something, it's incredibly difficult to simulate the mind of someone who doesn't know it. And this bleeds into written communication too. Which brings us to the illusion of transparency.
Oh, is this the email problem?
This is the email problem. The text mentions a study about sarcasm. A character, David, has a terrible meal at a restaurant. He sends a message to his friend June saying about that restaurant, it was marvelous.
Classic sarcasm, Moreltic.
To David, in his head, his voice is dripping with disdain. He hears the tone. But June is just reading text. She wasn't there.
Yeah.
She doesn't know the food was bad. However, when researchers ask people in David's position to predict if June will get the joke, they overwhelmingly say yes.
Because they know it's sarcasm.
Exactly. If I know what I mean, I assume you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We project our internal soundtrack onto the reader. We think our intentions are transparent.
This is why I always use emojis in text messages. I feel like emojis are the only thing saving us from the illusion of transparency.
They actually are. Emojis are explicit emotional signaling. They're a patch we invented to solve the fact that we can't read tone. Without them, we assume the reader can hear the voice in our head, and they definitely can't.
So, okay, let's recap. We have a speaker who is egocentric and lazy. We have a listener who can't ignore their own private knowledge. We have an illusion of transparency making us overconfident. How does civilization function?
Oh, yes.
How are we having this conversation right now and, mostly understanding each other?
That is the million-dollar question. If we aren't doing audience design, if we aren't constantly simulating each other's minds, what are we doing? The alternative theory proposed in the text is interactive alignment.
Which is what?
Mimicry. The theory is we don't need a complex model of your mind. We just need to copy you. We align automatically. We mimic words, syntax, speech rates. It's called priming.
So if you use the word vehicle, I start using the word vehicle.
Yes, and if I use a passive voice sentence, you're statistically more likely to use a passive voice sentence in your reply. We aren't analyzing each other. We're like infecting each other with language.
This creates those conceptual packs the text mentioned, right?
Right. Let's say I show you a picture of a car, but I call it the sports car. And you agree. We have now made a pact. We'll keep calling it the sports car for the rest of the conversation.
Even if later on it's the only car left on the screen and I could just say the car.
Even if it's the only car. We get stuck in the pattern. Now, you might think, oh, we're honoring our shared history. We're bonding. But the research suggests it's simpler.
It's not that.
It's that the term sports car is just active in your memory. It's at the top of the pile. because I just said it.
So it's not social bonding, it's just caching, like a computer.
It's largely caching. They found that listeners benefit from these precedents, using the same word, even if a new speaker enters the room and uses the word. That suggests it's about the word being primed in memory, not the relationship with the speaker.
That's significantly less romantic than mind reading. I liked the idea that we were connecting on a deeper level.
It is less romantic.
Yeah.
But think about it. It's ruthlessly efficient. Why build a complex, energy-expensive simulation of your brain when I can just copy your output?
Yeah.
It lets us communicate quickly without overheating our neurons.
So, okay, let's synthesize this. If we strip away the illusions, what is a conversation, really? Based on Barr and Kezar's work, what is happening between us right now?
I think the best way to see it is the multiple systems approach. We have two systems running. System one is dumb, fast, automatic, and totally egocentric. It's the one that blurts out ice pick. It looks at the tiny candle. It assumes you know what I know.
And system two?
System two is the monitor. It's smart, slow, and effortful. It comes in a split second later and says, wait, she can't see the tiny candle? Or, wait, he doesn't know I'm being sarcastic.
But because system two takes effort.
It often fails, especially when we're tired or rushed or emotional. So communication isn't a perfect mind meld. It's a series of egocentric blurts that we rapidly try to patch up before the other person gets too confused.
We aren't broadcasting a clear signal. We're just jamming a signal out and relying on the other person's brain to align with ours through mimicry and correction.
Exactly. And the fact that it works as often as it does is kind of a miracle. It suggests that perspective taking, really stepping into someone else's shoes in real time, is incredibly rare. It's the exception, not the rule.
It really makes you rethink the phrase, I know exactly how you feel.
You almost certainly don't. You know how you would feel in that situation.
That's the thought I want to leave everyone with. The next time you're talking to someone, your partner, your team, your kids, and you are sure you're on the same page, just pause.
Check the common ground.
Because chances are you're staring at your own private candle and they have no idea it's even there. Thanks for diving in with us.
Always a pleasure.